yield to Representative Elijah Cummings.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the gentleman for yielding, and I want to thank you and Mr. Horsford and the Congressional Black Caucus, and certainly Mr. Payne, for being here tonight. We are indeed at a critical moment in our country's history. And as I listen to my colleagues talk about the wealth gap, you know, a lot of times when we address these issues, people say the words, "Here they go again," and almost as if to say, let's dismiss this issue. This is an issue that is to a limited number of people. But the problem is, as we listen to the things that have been said here tonight, this is not a black problem, this is not a Hispanic problem, this is an American problem. We have to keep in mind that when you have this kind of gap, these kind of gaps, what happens is the driving force that makes our economy run is placed in a position where they cannot make the purchases that are necessary. When I say purchases, I'm not just talking about purchases of washing machines and dryers and curtains and things of that nature, but also I'm talking about being able to properly educate their children. A lot of what has been talked about here tonight is whether you can place your children in a position to do better than what you did. And so what we're talking about is trying to figure out ways to close that gap so that everybody rises, as opposed to, it has been said, when you've got a wealth gap of 5 cents or 5 or 6 cents for Hispanics and African Americans as compared to whites, what that means is that slowly but surely you have one part of your society that simply is not participating at any reasonable level. So the question is, how do we address those issues? And I know that the budget, the Black Caucus budget goes in that direction, but one of the things that I've concentrated on quite a bit is the whole situation with the loss of wealth with regard to property. African Americans and Hispanics, quite often, their wealth is tied up in property. And over the past few years, we've seen a tremendous loss of that wealth. And you talked about a little bit earlier about how when America has a cold, is that what you said?
That's right.
And then we have pneumonia. And so what has happened is that disproportionately African Americans and Hispanics have lost a lot of that wealth in property because they lost their property. And when they lost that property, they no longer had collateral to make business loans, to even get loans for their kids, or to do the things that they really wanted to do to make their lives better. But just as significantly, they were losing jobs at the same time. So as quiet as it's kept, you have a situation where a lot of Hispanics and African Americans were trying to help their relatives. So not only were they losing their houses, but then whatever savings they may have had, or the little extra income that they may have had that they could have put aside for a rainy day, or in an effort to create some wealth, it simply was disappearing. And so then we've had some major settlements with regard to these mortgage lenders. And the mortgage lenders have come in and basically pretty much admitted through these settlements that they wronged a lot of people. As a matter of fact, in my city in Baltimore, there were certain mortgage companies that admitted that they were pushing people into subprime situations that they could have done even better, and these were African Americans, by the way. And the next thing you know, and giving them all these loans, that no doc loans and things of that nature, and the next thing you know, the people had lost all they had. So the question now becomes, with two major settlements, what did they get? And as we are doing our research on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee and looking at some of this, what we've noticed is that a lot of the people who suffered the most got the least out of the settlements. There's still settlements that are going to take place. And so what we're trying to do is study the settlements that have been resolved, to learn from those so that future settlements, monies will go to the people who actually were harmed. That's just one area. But again, we have got to do everything in our power to close this gap. This is our watch. We are here today. We are the ones who must guard the progress that has been made. And quiet is kept. Slowly but surely, we have seen some of that progress go in the opposite direction, in a downward spiral. And so what we are here is to do is to make sure that not only do we stop that slide for African Americans and Hispanics, because like I said, if we stop that slide there, then the entire economy does well. Then all of us do well, and that's what it's all about. And so I want to thank the Congressional Black Caucus for doing this. This is so important. We must be the voice, and we must constantly pound the drums. Because so often I think what happens in this is a lot of times people see things going in the opposite direction and they say, oh, we'll get to it tomorrow. Or we'll wait another day. Or somebody else will deal with it. Or maybe somebody else will speak up about it. And so what happens is nobody does anything. Nobody says anything. And the next thing you know, 10 years have passed, 20 years, and you look back and you say, wow, there was a lot of slippage there. But you know what? That slippage also represents people. I heard Congressman Payne talk about people in his district. I've heard you talk about yours and Congressman Horslett. These are people. These are people who we represent. These are people who get the early bus, the ones who go through trying to make it possible for not only their children but their grandchildren to do well. And so, again, I want to thank you, and I yield back.